Because you don't want to go and respond to the commissioner, then you sit at the other meeting. I don't want that. Many of those commissioners.
Consolidation consultation officers. That is the law. That is the culture. Having said this, right from this and very honorable members, the governor of the state into the election to present the 2013 budget in line with section 1211 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended and order 184 of the Standing Order of the State House of Assembly.
Second, please. Honorable Fayemi.
The referendum is on the development. Not that we are one. I bet it's a
There is support for the motion that the government should dedicate the establishment of the 2013 budget to this honorable government say aye. So this again.
Right, Honorable Speaker, sir, fellow members of the State House of Assembly, having agreed that Mr. Governor should be allowed, backed by the motion of the House, we will now go and usher Mr. Governor into the oration. Thank you.
Dr. Kayode Fayemi is hereby stepping into the Ekiti State House of Assembly to present the 2013 budget.
State, the Right Honourable Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the wife of the Right Honourable Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and distinguished honourable members of this very special House of Assembly. The Chairman of our great party and his Deputy and other party leaders here present, members of the State Executive Council, the Secretary to the State Government, the Chief of Staff, the Clerk of the House, party chieftains, top government functionaries, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's a great delight for me, Mr. Speaker, to once again stand before this honourable House to officially present the 2013 Appropriation Bill for consideration and approval. Let me start by apologizing that it's taking us about an hour from the scheduled time to get to you here. That has to do with wanting to give a full picture of what has transpired, not just in the last 12 months, Mr. Speaker, but also in the last 24 months that we have been saddled with the responsibility of leadership in this state. So, with your permission, I should request in advance that this is going to be a long session. You will please recall that while presenting the 2012 budget of this administration on the 22nd of December 2011, I made it clear that the budget was aimed at delivering good tidings to Ekiti people. Consequently, during this fiscal year, much attention was devoted to policies and programs aimed at entrenching sound and free qualitative health and education services, maximum support for human development, laying a solid industrial base to stimulate the economy, and creating a friendly environment to attract potential investors to the state. Christening the 2012 budget as a budget of delivery was therefore purposeful and focus-driven. The policy thrust of the budget was to address in concrete and pragmatic terms all the variables that will stimulate economic growth through accountable governance and practical developmental efforts. Our focus was clear and the approach has yielded dividends. I am delighted to say, Mr. Speaker and distinguished honourable members, without being immodest, that this objective has been substantially achieved. Everywhere you turn in our state today, you will see physical, concrete, tangible evidence of government presence in our communities. We have been able to touch the lives of the general masses and delivered on the target we set for ourselves at the beginning of the fiscal year. But Mr. Speaker, before I go into key details of what we have been able to accomplish in the last year, it is important to restate the monumental challenges that we faced when we took office in October 2010. Because it's easy to forget where we're coming from if it is not restated. We inherited, as we recall, a debt burden of about 40 billion naira, many uncompleted and abandoned projects. A good example is the Ifaki Road. Amongst these abandoned projects, this road project, when we came in, had got about 80% of the contract sold, and less than 20% have been completed. From that less than 20% completion level that we met, it has now reached almost 80% completion. In the course of that period, I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, all of us in our various communities can also confirm what we have done in terms of social security benefits for the elderly and the youth volunteer scheme. This good House of Assembly passed into law the bill entrenching the social security support in the year 2012. The administration also inherited an internally generated revenue which totaled roughly about 109 million naira monthly when we came into office. In the course of the last 2 years, we have increased it to between 500 and 600 million naira every month. It is important to elaborate on how much we have been able to achieve despite all the odds. I am particularly grateful that we have not betrayed the trust that was invested in us by this honorable House and the great people of Ekiti State, and that the people of the state, who were initially apprehensive, have now become the champions of our approach to good governance. The cordial and productive interdependent relationship that has existed between our administration and the good people of Ekiti State has made it possible for us to make giant strides in the execution of our 8-point agenda. The 8-point agenda, as you recall, include governance, participatory governance, infrastructure development, modernization of agriculture, improvement of education and human capital, qualitative healthcare services, industrial development, tourism and environmental sustainability, and gender equality and women's empowerment. Here, I will not go into all the details of how we have obtained the trust in the past 12 months. This we have done when we were celebrating our 2 years in office. But in the area of governance, and based on our recognition of good governance as the foundation of our developmental agenda, we have turned regular interactive sessions with Ekiti people into a tradition of governance. As the governor, and with the help of other government officials, I have exemplified our trust in the people as the best judges of our activities in government by keeping them abreast of government's efforts. For instance, you recall, Mr. Speaker, that prior to the preparation of the 2012 budget, alongside the members of the State Executive Council, we toured the 16 local government areas in the state to know the needs of all the communities. Subsequently, we also toured in 2013 to review how far we have come in delivering the requests that the people made in 2012, in 2011 November. In addition to that, only last week, Mr. Speaker, I was able to meet with all the representatives of towns, unions, and our villages in Ekiti State to validate the requests that they made once again for the 2013 budget. One of the biggest challenges in socio-economic development that we found upon assumption of office was the decrepit state of infrastructure in Ekiti. We had made a promise that we will establish optimum communities that will improve citizens' lives and attract investment by making all parts of Ekiti accessible by major roads, motorable roads, and making our water dams function well, amongst other infrastructure developments. In fulfilling these promises, we embarked on massive road construction projects across the state. As I speak, there are 25 ongoing projects initiated by the State Ministry of Works and Transportation. Another 20 road projects which the ministry inherited were taken over and are different stages of completion. When we celebrated the second anniversary of this administration, 12 of those roads were commissioned, and we still have another 2 before the end of the year. In the context of infrastructure, therefore, we have paid a lot of attention to urban renewal, not only in terms of the construction of good roads, but also in terms of implications of our capitals in the Ekiti. The state capital is necessarily our first point of attention. It is inevitable because when visitors come to your house, they first get to your sitting room, and it is only when you gain their confidence and you post trust in them that you allow them into other parts of your house. The efforts in all these areas have eased the burden of life and living for millions of the citizens of this state. And I want to say that one of the priorities, Mr. Speaker, of the 2013 budget, in addition to what has happened and what is currently happening in the state capital, is the complete and total facelift of township roads in our three other old divisional headquarters of Ikere, Ikole, and Ijero in the year 2013. Also, we have used agriculture as a means of boosting internally generated revenue and the creation of massive employment. Against this background, we embarked on a comprehensive overhaul of the state's agricultural policy and put in place policies and programs that are changing the agricultural sector in the state. For instance, Mr. Speaker and distinguished members, the uses in commercial agricultural development WICA, which we launched in April 2012, has already generated 150 direct use commercial farmers and 1,500 related jobs from this program. Our target, as stated in the 8-point agenda, is 20,000 jobs by the year 2014. In addition to the development of cocoa value chain, we are also focusing on developing the full value chain of cassava, rice, and oil palm. There are several other initiatives that we have embarked upon in the area of agricultural transformation, which will cumulatively revolutionize not only the agricultural sector, but also the overall economy of the state, particularly the attraction of commercial agricultural players in large-scale farming and processing. Already, the Dutch Agricultural Trading Company, APCO, Food Concepts, the owners of Chicken Republic, Veggie Fresh, and June Flour have all taken their place in Ekiti as commercial agricultural operators. And we know that the year 2013 will see the full fruition of their individual investments in our state. As a state recognized, Mr. Speaker, as the state of professors, the fountain of knowledge in Nigeria, our efforts have also focused on the transformation of the educational sector and human capital development. We have fully embraced the dictum of our late sage, our leader and father, H.E.Dr. who insists emphatically that an educated citizen is indispensable to the satisfactory and successful practice and working of democracy. Our target is that by the year 2014, we will not only maintain the free and compulsory education for students in Ekiti schools from primary up to senior secondary schools. We will also ensure that every single student in our secondary school will have a computer of his or hers on the desk, whilst also creating special initiatives for physically challenged students and a sports academy for gifted youths. Already, we have achieved a significant amount of this objective. Indeed, by December 2012, 33,000 laptop computers have been distributed to our students. That is a third of the entire number of students in our secondary schools. Equally, we have renovated virtually all our dilapidated secondary school buildings and have distributed sporting equipment worth billions of naira to secondary schools in the state. In recognition of the ancient wisdom that health is wealth, we have provided free medical services for children, for pregnant women, for senior citizens, and the physically challenged in Ekiti State in the last 2 years. This is in line with the manifesto of our great party, the Action Congress of Nigeria. We have also increased the immunization coverage in the state to over 90%, strengthening the state ambulance service, expanding medical assistance to needy patients across the state, and bolstering the state's capacity for effective healthcare delivery. In addition to these, we have also taken on board the fact that our free health program does not cover all spectrum of our population. In this respect, we have expended resources on regular free health missions on a quarterly basis. And at the last free health mission, the 6th free health mission held in the state, we have treated no fewer than 400,000 Ekiti citizens who have attended those free healthcare missions. We have also not neglected the importance of our state teaching hospitals, and a number of improvements have come to the state teaching hospitals since we assumed office, particularly the opening and equipping of the accident and emergency unit and the new surgery ward in the hospital. Our efforts to jumpstart industrial development in the state has led to the creation of industrial parks such as the Odua Enterprise Center for small and medium-scale enterprises, as well as the completion of the Olokwe Agri Market, the establishment of microcredit facilities, and the development of agro-allied and solid mineral sectors of our local economy. The signal achievements of this administration in this area include, but is not limited to, the establishment of Fountain Holdings Limited, which manages the investment portfolio of the state and represents the government in public-private partnership. The Ekiti State Enterprise Development Agency, which is charged with encouraging, promoting, and coordinating investment activities in the state, and thus stimulating economic growth in the state, have been acting in this respect with the establishment of 3 enterprise development centers in our 3 senatorial districts. Concretely, the moribund infrastructure of Erie Red Bricks Factory, which has been there in the last 21 years, is now back fully to use to provide jobs for our citizens in Ekiti. All the above, which target some of our 8-point agenda, are complemented, Mr. Speaker, distinguished members, by the massive investment that this administration has also made in the area of tourism. Mr. Speaker, almost 1 million people engage in tourism annually around the world. Tourism has come to be recognized as an activity essential to the life of nations because of its direct effect on the social, cultural, educational, and economic sectors. We cannot but recognize this important area in the life of our state, in which we are blessed with some of the most beautiful, the most picturesque natural landscape, including beautiful mountains. In fact, our land and people are named after the very presence of these many mountains. Against this backdrop, and in the light of the blessings of our topography, the goal of this administration is to make Ekiti the most attractive destination for relaxation and holidays in Nigeria, if not in the entire continent of Africa. And it is in the light of this that we have developed what we call a tourism corridor in the state. This, of course, centers around the hub of Ikogosi, cold and warm spring tourist center, but extends further afield to Efa, to Okemesi, to Ikogosi, to Eridino, to Ikwele Loro, to Okotun, and the surrounding areas. Of course, the attractions in the state are not limited to these particular areas, because we have beautiful spots in all parts of the state, including the Okonire Grove that we're developing in Erie, and the beautiful hills of Orone and Olosuta in Ikere. The first phase, Mr. Speaker, of this new look eco-repository center, which will attract both national and international tourism, is being commissioned within the next 2 weeks. The third of the 8 Millennium Development Goals, Mr. Speaker, is gender equality and women empowerment. As a government that is conscious of the role of equity and gender equality in ensuring good governance, and one in which a woman of substance, is the deputy governor, we have embraced this MDG by promoting gender equality and women empowerment, so as to maximize the contributions of women who represent half of our population. Only 3 days ago, right here in Ekiti, the second gender summit was held, and the work of the administration was reviewed by both our local actors as well as external actors, and we got clear positive marks in that review. Our administration, Mr. Speaker, for example, is the first in the country to sign into law the Gender-Based Violence Prohibition Bill. This was done in November 2011. We are also the first state to domesticate the national gender policy. The wife of Mr. Governor has played very crucial roles in promoting gender equality and women's empowerment through the work of the Ekiti Development Foundation, which has assisted women and children, including educating women on reproductive health, providing financial assistance to boost economic activities of women at the grassroots, supporting couples with multiple vows, helping women with skill acquisition and leadership training. Overall, we have also been monitoring the progress of our developmental efforts to ensure that they all help in closing the gender gap and empower women by providing access to social, economic, and political opportunities that will make them full and equal citizens of the state and the country as a whole. You know, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, I have taken the time to quickly run through specific steps that have been taken in the 8-point agenda in linking governance with infrastructural development and establishing a connection between education and human capital development and gender equality, and tying all this with the need for a healthy population. The modernization of agriculture has been connected to the massive push for industrial development, particularly in the agro-allied sector. Related to all these is the creation and maintenance of tourist attractions, not only to provide an economic need for the state, but also as places of relaxation for a healthier, more enlightened citizenry, and a citizenry that has greater opportunities for better income, and citizens who are able to live better and more qualitative lives. This leads me, Mr. Speaker, to the processes that we will undertake for the 2013 budget. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, as you are all aware, the process culminating in the presentation of the 2013 Appropriation Bill today was a comprehensively participatory one. The process that was driven by the medium-term expenditure framework, which calls for us to start with medium-term strategic outlook by sector. This outlook then shaped our goals, plans, and initiatives for the next 3 years, from which our immediate 2013 initiatives and action plans were drawn. These initiatives and plans in 2013 form the basis of our capital expenditure. For 2013 budget estimates, we started with fiscal projections of our revenues for 2013 through 2015, using macroeconomic assumptions and available data at 3 levels of likelihood. Baseline revenue was projected to reflect what we can expect with up to 99% confidence. what plausible level of revenue to project what we can realize within a confidence level of 60 to 75%. Finally, we projected what we feel will be way out optimistic level of revenue to be what we can expect within 30 to 40% of confidence level. This level of revenue then guided the prioritization of our capital projects. The revenues are allocated to subsectors to guide them in prioritizing capital projects necessary to advance towards the achievement of set goals and objectives within the medium-term strategic plan. Projects categorized on the baseline ran as grade A and up to 99% confidence that they will be cashed back and implemented. Projects prioritized in the plausible category have the likelihood of 60 to 75% delivery, and projects in the optimistic category are likely to be implemented within the 35 to 40% range likelihood. Allocation of revenue to each subsector in 2013 was guided by both the medium-term strategic framework, our 8-point agenda, our development plan 2011 to 2014, and the immediate objective of the administration to complete all ongoing projects addressing the need of the people, particularly in provision of water and healthcare delivery services and empowerment of the rural communities. The comprehensive approach also led credence to our decision last year to separate the budgetary and economic planning function from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. The Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning has spearheaded the process of agreeing the MPEP and MTSS, in which distinguished honorable members of this House have been very active. I am happy to report that this is not just a budget presentation, but also a combination of the MTEP process as enshrined in the Fiscal Responsibility Law of Ekiti State 2011. The 2013 to 2015 medium-term extension framework, which we already submitted to this House, gives a clear perspective of where the government policies will take Ekiti by the year 2015. You would also recall that 2015 is the year the Millennium Development Goals, which is essentially what our 8-point agenda mirrors, comes to a close. It will therefore be a good time to review where we are on all those practical indicators. Although headline figures would always focus on the national, it has done much better than the picture painted nationally in all of these indices. For example, if you were to take our health indices, we are way above the national average in terms of life expectancy, where the national average is 47 and it is 55. In terms of our child and maternal mortality, where it is 157 out of the 100,000 births, but it is 110 out of the 100,000 births. And in our HIV infection rate, which is 4.1% nationally, but it is 1.1% the lowest in the country. These are also repeated in all other sectors. I think everybody agrees now that the roads are far better than the roads in any other part of this country as we speak. Mr. Speaker, I daily receive communications from both people who I know and just ordinary Nigerians who pass through our states either on their way to Lagos or on their way to Abuja. And they are struck by the quality of roads that they notice passing through it. And I think this is something that we should be proud of, but also something that calls for continued effort. And it is because of this that government has decided to also restructure and reposition the Public Works Corporation so that the works of maintaining all these roads will become central to the effort of government in the the next few years. I am happy to also report, Mr. Speaker, that complementing the MTEL process is the input by our people in Ekiti. Since the inauguration as the chief executive of our dear state, I have vowed to respect the opinions and viewpoints of the entire populace in our government. This is critical to us. Consequently, as I mentioned earlier, we have traversed the length and breadth of the state in order to validate what has come out of the MTEL and in order to incorporate the views and feelings of our people in the budget preparation for 2013. And I can tell you that this budget is a product of wide consultation to reflect the actual needs of the people to whom this government is accountable. And it is in this wise that I am christening the 2013 budget as the budget of empowerment and consolidation in Ekiti State. Mr. Speaker, the size of the 2013 budget being presented to this Honorable House is 93 billion, 616 million, 830,001 naira. While the capital side of this budget represents 47 billion, 200 million, 688,770 naira, or 50.4% of the entire budget, the recurrent expenditure is 46 billion, 416 million, 141,231 naira, representing 49.6% of the budget. All lawful provisions were strictly adhered to in the preparation of the 2013 budget. The role of this distinguished House is manifestly clear in examining the budget proposal and appropriating funds to projects for the realization of the collective objective of government and the aspiration of our people in Ekiti State. This crucial function is strategic and cannot be wished away. I am proud to say that this House has not shied in this sacred and onerous responsibility since its inauguration in June 2011. Mr. Speaker and distinguished honorable members, I must thank you most sincerely for the critical role you've played, particularly in the outgoing year, which made the state one of the most peaceful and fastest growing economies in the Federation. You provided an enabling environment that made governance productively challenging through your robust debate and kindly opinions on issues of great importance to the state and its people. This has continued to make the state attractive to investors and development partners who are now showing considerable interest in our initiatives and policies. In line with the budget focus on empowering our citizens in our quest to make poverty history, Mr. Speaker, it is the deliberate policy of the government to put together all strategies geared towards direct grassroots and community empowerment. This has informed our decision to create a full-fledged ministry to fit into the policy thrust of government aimed at tackling poverty at the grassroots level and its inherent debilitating consequences. This new ministry, Mr. Speaker, will pull together the functions of the Community Development Department of the Ministry of Local Government, the Bureau of Rural Development, the cooperative services from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and the social mobilization unit of the Ministry of Information, and charged with the responsibility of coordinating all anti-poverty strategies at the local level henceforth. This ministry will take full responsibility for interfacing with town unions, with local cooperatives, rural integration, and social mobilization at the grassroots level, all of which constitute major priorities of the budget in the year 2013. In addition to our focus on community empowerment, another priority of this budget is to complete the ongoing capital projects, which is why we are christening the budget of consolidation and incorporate the requests of the people of the state during my tour of the local government areas. We shall be sticking conscientiously to the tenets and cardinal programs of our great party, the Action Congress of Nigeria, in this regard. We shall also be consolidating our achievements in the area of free health and education services. Particularly in the areas of health, we have decided that a major focus of the budget in 2013 will be the complete refurbishment and rehabilitation of all general hospitals in the state. And all comprehensive primary healthcare centers that offer free healthcare in all the local governments, 35 of them in total. In the area of education, we shall be completing the remaining schools that have not been taught in the Operation Bill of Schools program. Other policy thrust objectives of this administration in the 2013 fiscal year are as follows, Mr. Speaker. Empowerment of rural communities through the expansion of community development initiatives, increasing the effectiveness and functionality of the health sector with a view to improving the quality of healthcare delivery services, improvement in socio-economic infrastructure such as rural urban roads, rural urban water supply, and rural electrification. General reduction in the level of poverty of the citizenry through the provision of wealth creation initiatives and youth and women empowerment programs. Improvement in the quality and functionality of education. Provision of enabling environment for food security and agro-based industries with immense private sector participation. Aggressive pursuit of the agenda of making Ekiti a destination of choice for tourists. Maintenance of efficient, effective, and well-motivated public service for enhanced productivity. Radical expansion of the internal revenue base through a pragmatic and sustainable approach. And finally, sustenance of good governance through budget discipline, probity, and accountability in the utilization of public funds. Mr. Speaker, distinguished representatives, let me quickly move to the 2013 revenue projections that undergird our expenditure estimates. In 2013, Mr. Speaker, Ekiti State is expecting 31,448,586,848 naira from our statutory allocation from the Federation account, the FAR account, representing 33.6% of our revenue projection for 2013. In addition, we're expecting 7,332,124,692 naira, representing 7.8% of revenue projection from the value-added tax. We are also expecting, in addition to the main FAR augmentation, which comes in the form of either excess food, fund, or any other additional form from foreign exchange gains that might occur in the year. And that we have estimated at 8,563,278,306 naira, representing 9.1% of our total revenue projection. Our internally generated revenue is expected at about 14,032,382,483 576 naira, or 15% of our total revenue projection for 2013. In terms of external grants, we're expecting, and this is our external grants from bodies like the United Nations, the UK, assistance in international development, and a range of other supporters of our scheme. We're expecting about 4,626,894,773 naira, or 4.9% of our entire revenue projection for 2013. In the MDG's conditional grant scheme, this is the MDG that comes from the federal government, we're expecting 1,100,000,000 naira, representing about 1.2 of our revenue projection. And in our internal loan bond, Mr. Speaker, you recall that we had a bond of 20 billion, which is what we've been spending. So we have in 2013 about 7,125,362,807 naira, representing 7.6% of the entire revenue profile in 2013. Special grants from federal government. We're expecting a reimbursement on our federal road projects, on which we have expended not less than 8 billion naira. We are expecting at least 5 billion reform, which is what the Federal Ministry of Works has promised. And if you read your papers today, you will have seen what transpired in the Senate yesterday when our Senator took up the Minister of Works on the inadequate attention that has been paid to Ekiti State. And as a result of that, the Minister has asked us to submit a special request, which we sent to the Senate and the Minister this morning. On ecological reform, we are expecting 525 million naira, representing 0.6% of the budget. And all that sundry income being expected amounts to 13,863,200,000 naira, which represents about 14.8% of our total expenditure profile. This is what takes the expenditure, our revenue profile. I beg your pardon. This is what takes the profile to 93,616,830,001 naira. Out of this projection, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, distinguished members, a total sum of 46,416,141,231 naira has been earmarked for the recurring expenditure of government in the next fiscal year 2013. This, as I indicated earlier, represents 49.6% of the total budget. With this, government expects to meet the following obligations, Mr. Speaker, among others. Personnel costs has increased significantly to 8,327,819,429 naira, and that represents 8.9% of that 49.6% of the recurrent expenditure. All that charges represent 4,729,756,390 naira, which represents 5.1%. And those other charges that Mr. Speaker include running costs like operational expenses, for our public MPAs and the two other arms of government, the judiciary and the legislature. Grant parastatal, State University, College of Education, EXU, College of Health Technology, and so on and so forth. The grant to parastatal and Teaching Service Commission comes to about 14,392,966,764 naira, representing 15.4% of the entire recurrent estimate. Transfer to other funds, Mr. Speaker, represents 11,453,921,149 naira, or 12.2% of the total transfer to other funds. And then on consolidated revenue fund charges, this is pension, gratuity, and so on and so forth. We are around 7,511,647,500 naira, or 8.0% of the total recurrent expenditure, totaling 46,416,141,231 naira that I earlier mentioned. This is the reason behind the full implementation of the new minimum wage of 19,300 naira in Ekiti State, even though the national minimum wage is 18,000 naira. The singular effort of the government to make its workers happy and motivated for high productivity has its effect on the finances of the state, government as well. In actual fact, since the implementation of the new salary structure, the wage bill for the core civil service of the state has recorded a progressive increase from 4.9 billion in 2011 to 7.3 billion in 2012, or 7.9% of the total budget in 2012. In the year 2013, it is literally doubled to 8.3 billion naira, or 8.9% of the total budget as earmarked as core personnel costs, not adding pension or gratuity. By simple calculation, therefore, what the government is paying in 2013 is double what it paid in 2011, when the new minimum wage was yet to be implemented. And this, Mr. Speaker and distinguished honorable members, is without a corresponding increase in the allocation from the Federation account. Whilst expressing deep appreciation to Labour and the entire workforce of Ekiti State for their understanding and cooperation with the government, it is necessary for me to say here that all of us have roles to play in making Ekiti become the land of our dream. This is why all of us should be prepared to be involved not only in enjoying the public privileges, but also the obligation to the state. Mr. Speaker and distinguished honorable members, as I noted in my address to the people of Ekiti State during the second anniversary of this administration, all of us are living witnesses to the parlor state of the economy of Ekiti State. At the time we came in, the state was collecting 2.8 billion naira monthly from the Federation account. This has since reduced to 2.5 billion naira. Yet, the state commits over 2 billion naira to salaries and wages to its workers and pensioners every month. This does not excuse us from reaching to other critical areas of need on recurrent needs, including the payment of social security stipends to the elderly, as well as those engaged in the youth volunteer scheme. In spite of this, fiscal development has to be attended to as a matter of priority, and will continue to do that, even though our internally generated revenue are counted far less than our needs. In this circumstance, the workers, and the people of our state have to show enough understanding on the need to generate more funds to service governmental activity, including the regular payment of salary as well as other welfare packages. For instance, I must mention that I've had some misgivings on the implementation of the new tax regime, which is a legitimate tax code adopted by the Federal Internal Revenue Service and not by us. It's important to say this is the National Federal Inland Revenue Service code, not a code that is peculiar to Ekiti State, which is why the Joint Tax Board has taken the step in the last few days to publish in newspapers across the country details of that tax code review. Again, the issue of trust has come to play in understanding government's intentions. I'd like to reiterate that this government is the people's government and will do everything to justify the people's confidence at all times. But all of the physical development that our people are seeing have to be paid for, and they can only be paid for if there is a direct correlation between what we generate and what we expend. The administrations have continued to support any scheme that will improve the welfare of the entire workforce, and this budget has already continued to demonstrate that with the continued allocation to loan schemes on housing and cars. Training and retraining of the workforce shall also be accorded a high priority. The welfare of our senior citizens, retired workers shall also continue to receive adequate attention of this government. In fact, to this end, a sum of 2.8 billion naira has been set aside in the 2013 budget for the payment of gratuity and pension. Other highlights of our current expenditure, Mr. Speaker, include 872 for the judiciary, subvention 872,500,800 naira, to the College of Education 1.8 billion naira, to the State University 2.5 billion naira, to the Teaching Service Commission. Again, because of the increase in minimum wage, Mr. Speaker, that has gone from about 4 billion to 6,882,725,007 naira to the Teaching Service Commission. To BSCS, 237,564,800 naira. To Water Corporation, 235,799,600 naira. To car and housing loan, 100 million. To scholarship scheme, 95 million. On capital expenditure, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, our sustained fight against poverty occupies a prime place in this government in 2013 fiscal year. We have no alternative but to make the scourge of poverty history in this state. In doing this, our program shall be focused on making the rural dwellers economically independent through active empowerment programs. In addition, there will be adequate provision for water, rural electrification, and rural roads. Government has also made provision of 580 million naira in the 2013 proposed budget as its counterpart contribution for the construction of 5-kilometer road by local governments. In addition, Mr. Speaker, we're starting in the year 2013 the construction jointly with the local government of modern markets across the length and breadth of all our local government headquarters. Our focus on the youth and women remain unshaken. In the year 2013, we shall be expanding the voluntary scheme that we currently run, the volunteer force scheme that we currently run. With the support of the World Bank, we are starting our youth empowerment show support initiative, which will see a lot of our young people involved in public works in various parts of the state and supported by government in that city. Consequently, we are proposing for the capital a total sum of 47,200,688,770 naira for capital projects in the 2030 fiscal year. This amount represents 50.4%, just slightly more than the revenue profile of the state. But when we put together, Mr. Speaker, what it means is this. I shall quickly go through it. It means that in the year 2013, we shall be committing, Mr. Speaker, we shall be committing to the agricultural sector of our economy 3.2% of the total budget. We shall be committing 3.3% to industrial development, 1.7% to tourism, 21.2% to infrastructure, 17.2% to education and human capital, 10.4% to the health sector, and 2.3% to women empowerment and gender equality in youth and sports. So that gives a clear sense of the priority of the government in terms of both revenue and capital expenditure in the year 2013, Mr. Speaker. Let me state, for the benefit of this assembly, Mr. Speaker, some highlights of that, because I know our people at home may not have the opportunity to read the full speech. We are committing this year, in 2013, at least another 9.956 billion naira to road projects in terms of completion. And in terms of completion and in terms of the construction and rehabilitation of the three major capital divisional headquarters that I mentioned earlier. We are also committing 6.2 billion naira, Mr. Speaker, to public buildings, particularly those legacy projects that are already under construction. Many of them work has started on them. People visit the old precincts, they will see what is going on there. If they visit the new governor's office, they will see what is going on. If they go to Ayaba Hill, they will see what is happening there. All around the state, they can see concrete legacy projects that will stand the test of time in our state in the future. Because we say that water is going to be a major priority, Mr. Speaker, we're committing at least 2.4 billion naira to the rehabilitation of all the key dams, Ero, Ege, and Ureje dams. We also have some support to rehabilitate the Tapadi dam, which is coming from the agri side of our budget and from the support from the UNDP and our senators who have put their money together in order to work on the water project in the state. On electricity, we are earmarking 1.3 billion naira to both rural electrification and a lot of the street lights that we're seeing around Ekiti, which will also be extended to our divisional headquarters and subsequently, when resources permit, to our local government headquarters in the near future. We are also putting 500 million naira in the Public Works Corporation to ensure that we implement without fail our Operation No Pothole in Ekiti on all of the roads that we are just constructing. Obviously, I highlighted what we're doing in the area of healthcare and in the area of education go through that. But let me just say that we'll be putting about 2.163 billion naira in the Ministry of Health in order to implement our program of renovating and reconstructing all of the general hospitals and the primary health care centers that I highlighted earlier. Mr. Speaker, on the administrative sector, the role of general administration as the central coordinator of all government activities in the state is quite engaging. It is therefore very important for us to accord this sector the desired attention. This is why the total allocation for the administration sector is 7,317 million naira, or 17% of the total capital budget. On internal security, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, this administration is happy with the relative peace, law, and order that prevailed in the state in the outgoing year, and that has prevailed since we came into office in 2010. This was made possible by the effort and determination of the law enforcement agencies that were always on the alert. Our administration will, within its limited resources, provide logistics for our law enforcement agencies to enable them to perform optimally. Because we're still concerned about incidents of armed robberies and petty burglary that continue to occur all around the state, and we want to leave this in the bud in the year 2013. Our royal fathers have been supportive in ensuring that peace reigns in their various domains. We shall not relent in ensuring that the coming year is also a year of peace and tranquility in Ekiti. And it is in light of the gaps that still plague our internal security situation in the state that the year 2013 shall see the introduction, Mr. Speaker, of the Ekiti State Peace Corps, which will focus on complementing the efforts of law enforcement agencies. I must express the gratitude of government to this great house for the passage of the law of the Ekiti State Peace Corps. I therefore enjoin the peace-loving people of Ekiti State to continue to act as our guide and guide by volunteering useful information to the law enforcement agency so as to guarantee the security and safety of life, investment, and property in our dear state. On the legislature, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, I cannot stress the importance of this House to this administration enough. I am happy to note that the venue of this budget presentation is so far the most elegant legislative house in the country. Among others, it is a beauty to behold. This has, however, given us an added responsibility to maintain the structure. And I have noted in your own red speech some of the gaps that still exist, like committee vehicles, like support for the work that the committees are doing. And I've also noted with a great deal of admiration and commendation the monitoring exercise you undertook with members of this August Assembly all around the state to complement the effort of government officials, highlighting where things have not gone according to plan, and insisting to be monitored in your own right as representatives of your constituencies and distinguished members of this administration. And we cannot thank you enough for that. We have made adequate provision in the 2013 budget for many of the things that you highlighted in your speech, including the maintenance of this edifice, provision of vehicles, and support for training both locally and overseas for members of this distinguished House of Assembly. I bold to say, Mr. Speaker, that this fourth assembly has stood out as a testimonial of pride of the virtue of the Ekiti people for excellence and high productivity. And it is my own wish that all segments of government can emulate the high level of productivity that we have witnessed here. And this is not just good talk. I can back it up with evidence. I know with satisfaction, indeed great satisfaction, that the fourth assembly has successfully, as of today, passed 51 bills into law. Within 1.5 years of its inauguration. I don't know any state in the Federation where the State House of Assembly has managed to accomplish this gigantic stride. 41 of these laws have already received my assent, and if the 4 bills passed by the third assembly are added to the figure, 45 laws have been signed within 2 years of this administration. This is the record. And I doubt, as I said, if any House of Assembly will break this record in a long while. Once again, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, I'd like to commend this fourth assembly for these achievements, because this assembly should be celebrated across the country. I joyfully identify with the good reputation you have got for yourself within the short period of your inauguration. I also want to commend the fact that at least 2 of the bills that we're talking about are actually private members' bills that have come before me for assent and which I'm about to give assent to. I also urge you not to rest on your oars alone. I request, for the good of our people, your continued cooperation and constructive appraisal of our policies. Since it is for common good, I promise to take good notice of this with every sense of responsibility and candor. This administration shall continue to support the House, most especially in the area of funding and in any other assistance it may require from the executive within the limited resources available to the government. I also want to state that the executive legislative party that we started in the year 2012 shall continue with more vigor and regularity in the year 2013. On the third arm of government, the judiciary, Mr. Speaker, distinguished members, the importance of the judiciary cannot be overemphasized. As the last hope of the common man, we will continue to respond to the needs of this very important arm of government for it to achieve its statutory responsibility. The 2013 budget has made provision for the construction of new office buildings to ameliorate the hardship of shortage of accommodation in the judiciary. All other needs such as office furniture and equipment, utility vehicles have also been addressed in the 2013 proposed budget. It is my expectation that the third arm of government will sustain the tempo of quick dispensation of justice for the sake of those awaiting trial, and also finalize the plan to take justice nearer our people by the establishment and running of the Ekiti State Customary Court of Appeal. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, this budget is a document that has articulated the policies and programs of the government to achieve the collective aspiration of the good people of Ekiti State in the year 2013. It is our resolve to faithfully implement the provisions as passed by this assembly. It is also our expectation that we shall break the record this year by passing this budget into law before before the end of the year 2012. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, it is now a singular honor for me to formally present to you the 2013 budget, the budget of consolidation and consolidation. I pray that the implementation of this budget will bring the desired growth and development to our people and Ekiti State, the land of honor, Ile. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, distinguished honorable members. Thank you, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, in advance.
Hey, stop there.
Your next slide is on the new report, and I'm happy and I'm sure everyone is satisfied that we actually do that. And we are starting to hear projects of empowerment and consolidation. In June, when we had our first year anniversary, we passed a vote of confidence on the government. And this one was confirmed by the best governor of the leaders award that was conferred against by the leadership newspaper. This is the first time we are having a performing government in the state, and we are proud to the achievement of the excellency. On behalf of all the leaders, on behalf of the fourth assembly, we say congratulations and reverence. We have received the budget, and we are promising that it will be given expeditious passage. And I'm assuring you that before we hear ourselves, this budget will be passed for a passage. And we are assuring you of our continuous support and cooperation with the administration. And I'm aware of us that this is the first time we are having a government in this state. We will give you all the support it needs. Excellency, once again, I congratulate you and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. I want to congratulate Mr. Governor, Deputy Governor. Mr. Speaker, sir, and fellow working members, in the course of presenting the budget, especially when Mr. Governor got to that particular piece, legislature. Right, Honourable Speaker. I would want the Honourable Speaker to listen to this, because when the language by which Mr. Governor described the House, that particular language is enough to do more that is necessary for this particular administration to continue with the success strike and to equally cheer honorable members to action. Mr. Governor said, this House is a testimonial of pride. Testimonial of pride. And I can see the way honorable members reacted to their body language, because for couples of people who are just playing with no clapping, we only eat and take. But honorable members reacted in their body language that we are source of pride to the legislative arm in Nigeria, especially with the number
a statement of fact. It cannot be controverted by anybody. And those bills that we are passing to law, I want to say there are motives that the present administration is actually using to actually record the success that this particular administration is having. And I want to remember to take this statement to heart, because to me, it is a statement of success, individually and collectively, especially for this one's assembly. And in the course of his presentation, you can see those areas where we especially reflect truly that this small assembly is a statement of fact. That the challenge of governance before the coming of this particular administration mentioned 40 billion uncompleted projects and so 80% of the money collected with less than 20% work done. And for us to be at this level, at this time, in this house, when we are discussing amongst members, sometimes we will ask that where do we get this spirit work? Because at times, some honorable members get confused that where is the money coming from? Where are they getting the money to do all this work that is presently going on in Ekiti? Yes, it is true that we passed the bond bill. But if we don't have a government that is very, very transparent, if we don't have a government that knows to be accountable to the people, if we don't have a government that want to take Ekiti to the next level, like the Speaker said, all these efforts will go the way of the past. And once again, honorable members are particularly happy. Even if within the people, they are saying this government is actually working. If the government is working, if it is working, that is the simple truth. And I'm happy today that the story of that particular success cannot be written in isolation of the State House of Assembly. And again, before the coming of Mr. Governor, at the class of Mr. Governor to this allocation, we quickly reminded our guests that just this morning we passed the resolution on MTF. And because of the presentation of the budget, this issue came up, this visionary document, which of course is part of the document where the 2013 budget, as expressed by Mr. Governor, is important to present and has been presented to the State House of Assembly. Today, we have equally listed. I'm happy for people to collect Jiro and because I was actually looking at the news of Mr. Governor saying Ekiti. And I don't know speakers are we happy? And not just transforming those places. We are equally listening to how the present administration we equally want to engage in the social sector, the health sector, especially some of the primary health centers, and what again we want to do with our youth, especially in this area where they are business. We want to say critically that the House of Assembly will not shy away from that particular constitutional role to look at this particular budget as presented by Mr. Governor and see that we pass it as such. So that truly the budget will be a budget of empowerment and consolidation. Not consolidation of the conjoint environment, but consolidation of Ekiti people. And I know that Ekiti people will be better for it. And again, it will be written that this particular budget is being passed by the State House of Assembly to help the teeming mass of our people. I want to thank Mr. Governor, the Deputy Governor, and the entourage. I want to thank the chairman of our great party, the Action Congress of Nigeria, for being part of this particular mission. And to see the executive chairman. And again, the entire member of the State's House of Assembly, with the trust of our people. And if we can bring it this way, why do we need to get scared about focus? Thank you very much. I am to Monday, December 9, 2012. Come back, please. Right now, example. I go for the state House of Assembly. I like to support the motion moved by the majority House of Assembly to adjourn this highly performed House of Assembly till 9 which is 10 December 2012.
If there is support of adjournment of this sitting, the 10th December, Monday, 2012, please say aye. Then they say nay. Yes or no.
Resolution.